Morning, Grandmaster. Okay, I thought I'd just have a quick look, not too in depth, but just at some of the main ideas of the game we played the other day on Chess by Post. I think it was quite interesting. Started off very well. There was a to and fro about it, and what we both lack really, well, one among many things, but calculation really. Calculation, seeing variations, not just playing things out of I don't really know what to do, I'm going to play this because it looks okay. We want to get out of that habit and just start analysing like an accountant, and you know, that I think that really is the engine behind good chess players. So I'll illustrate those points soon. So interesting opening, Queen's opening. The knight prevents an immediate occupation of the centre by white by playing by playing pawn to e4. Development, eyeing up the e5 square, and now that's quite a nice move. It opens up lines for the bishop to come to b4 possibly. I mean, it could be deployed there on the next move, or it could play there to create a pin. So I mean, there's already a microcosm of battle going on here, and it's up to the player with the most experience and erudition to be able to see where these micro conflicts happen. So there's already a fight over the e4 square, and White's thinking behind this is he can't use the e4 pawn to fight for d5, so he's going to have to use the c4 pawn, and Black immediately counters, challenging that occupation there, and White just goes in for the exchange straight away. And interesting, if you look at the pawns, White's got a kingside majority, 4 pawns on the kingside, and I mean, we could just, oh, how do I do that? So yes, so White's got a kingside majority versus, that's not actually right, is it? I'm giving misinformation. Well, he has got a kingside majority against a kingside minority. And then yes, so Black's got 4. I suppose if we look at these in isolation, so it's 1 against 1, and these are slightly isolated, but that's not really correct. And then there's 4 pawns against 3, 3 pawns here against 2. White's got an open C file. Let's just carry on anyway. That's enough of my that's enough of my positional evaluation. So knight's deployed. Now that pawn is now attacked once and it's defended twice, so it's adequately protected, but it could be attacked again in future. So already I'm thinking about a c6 there. Some c6 move might be nice. I'm moving the black queen out here. Something like, say for example, pawn here, and then you could follow with queen to a5 and bishop to b4. That would be something like the Cambridge Springs development. But Black's got ideas of wanting to get in c5 immediately. He doesn't want to dilly-dally, he wants to go straight for the attack on that d4 pawn. So this is a slightly dubious move. I'm going to load the engine now, and hopefully my computer's got enough power for that. Okay, so interesting idea in chess is to think, after every move of your opponent, how has it changed the position? More specifically, what has been left undefended, both in your own, after your own moves and after your opponent's moves. So computer likes knight c6 here. I know that doesn't really fit in with your plan of wanting to get to c5 first, because you know, chess is difficult, isn't it? We think we're supposed to get that pawn out before we move the knight out, or bishop to e7 might be good. It's important to adhere to the rules of the game of implementing the fight for the centre, getting your pieces out and castling, and so bishop to e7 would fit in with that. However, bishop to e6 doesn't. It defends that pawn, it gets the problem child out, but now it allows queen to b3 here, which is quite nice. It's putting pressure on the b7 pawn, and it's adding to the pressure on the d5 pawn. So now it's obvious that black has to defend that pawn. There's no other move you can do possibly other than defend that pawn. Or is that right? Well, we must break assumptions in chess, because the pawn doesn't necessarily have to be defended, and once the queen steps in, you shouldn't use a high ranking magisterial figure to defend a mere foot soldier. So what's happened in this now is, whether you're aware of it or not, this is another microcosm in the game, and you're starting to play, or one is, we all do this, begin to play reactively. The pawn's defended, pawn's attacked, it's got to be defended, I use my queen, and maybe there's some kind of sense of satisfaction of moving the queen. It's always nice to move the queen. But we could have played, black could have played knight c6, which looks counterintuitive, but don't forget the knight is aiming at this square, coming down to here, and it's defended. And this is reminiscent of a game we played, I think the game before, where I can't remember what happened. Yeah, I think you snatched off the b7 pawn with your queen, and then my queen was on e7. I gave check on b4, forcing you to swap off queens, which occurs in the Morphy game. The Morphy is a wild game. That's one of the threats. So these attacks against the b7 pawn go right back in history. So this is best played by black, and it still is an advantage for white. But what would happen? It gets very, very murky after queen takes. There could follow knight b4, and as I said, it's defended by the bishop, and actually it's preventing any checks, because it's actually defending these squares. White could give a check here, but that would easily be dealt with. Let's see what happens there. If white gives a check here, then that's a massive advantage for black now, with bishop d7. The queen's going to be running out of places, or well, no, but pretty soon you just got this, and that's killing for black. So it's good to look at the what's the word? The counterintuitive moves. Yeah. So after this and bishop to b4, it could continue with knight b5, threatening check. That pawn's got to be defended. Now bishop to there, ganging up on the pawn. Knight gives a check, king has to move away, picking up the material, Now we get a bit of action going on. Queen goes to e7. The rook is defended by the bishop, so now best move is knight gives check, queen takes bishop, bishop takes. I mean, that's something you're not going to want to do, but it's a trade-off, so you don't always just have to hang on to your queen for dear life. Bishop takes, now e3, and it's murky. Computer's given very slight advantage for black, but I'm not sure that's true, because his knight is it's trapped down here for the time being. White can't get at it because of the rook on c8, but so it's a little bit murky, and actually the computer's gone back to 0 now. These computers, they can't see long-term advantages or gains. And after a check by white, king has to move here, defending that pawn, and it's interesting. So that's something we could have got to, and neither of us looked at that properly. So I can go over that one more time if you want, because I think it's quite interesting. So now I'll go over that in the recap. I'm waiting for my computer's a little bit slow here. So yeah, it's got a bit of a life of its own, this computer. Come on, you motherfucker. Okay, d5. Oops. So yeah, that pawn doesn't necessarily have to be defended, and there's some classic games, I think Capablanca, Nimzowitsch, where Nimzowitsch took a b pawn, Capablanca just carried on with development, and in the end the queen was just left looking ridiculous there, while Capablanca drove a fantastic attack. So anyway, this is what happened. Then bishop to f4. So I've already got the plan of knight b5 attacking this square, and so now bishop e7 looks a little bit passive now, because what I said before about getting your pieces out, castling, that's all very well, but when there's a new attack, you have to come up with different ideas. So the c5 looks pretty sharp here. Pawn to c5, and then if knight b5, you can still get your knight a6 in. Okay, or actually a c4. But let's see what actually happened. After bishop e7, I jam the knight in. That square is not just the pawn, the square, the c7 square, has got to be defended by knight to a6. And so I knew there'd be attack and defense, and attack and defense. I was quite happy with this, because I thought, even though the knight is doing a good job in covering the c7 square, at least I've kind of forced you or pressured you into a strange development. You know, I think sometimes you can take satisfaction in the fact that you're making your opponents come up with a kind of strange positional development. Having said that, the knight later on has a fantastic life, swinging to b4 and controlling the c5 square. So it looks strange, but it's a pretty good knight, that. So computer thinks I should have carried on with rook to c1 here, further pressuring the c7 square, and then we would get the c6, which I talked about before, which hang on a second. I could either play e3, which looks a bit strange there, because e3. Oh, this pawn is pinned. See, bloody interesting game, isn't it, chess? The pawn is pinned by this rook to there. So that knight can stay there with impunity for a couple of steps at least. So all of these things have to be taken into account. That queen move that you did so indiscriminately, really, I bet you weren't thinking that, oh, it's playing into a position where it can easily be attacked because the c file is open, rook to c1. But very good players might, not including myself in this, this might flag up a little bit of a worry for them. Do I want to move my queen somewhere where it needs to be attacked by a rook on c1? So yeah, anyway, after this I'll just carry on. I won't go through all of these moves. So this is back to the main game now. So I played e3, even though rook to c1 is better. Oh, there was an interesting variation of bishop takes c7, which is a bit strange. Yeah, if bishop snaps that off now, which looks counterintuitive again because it's defended twice. If knight takes, then you get rook to c1, which further illustrates the point I was saying about the queen being susceptible to an attack. And now that knight is pinned. And so after castle, rook takes. Okay, we'll see this. We'll return to this variation later on. Actually, this theme, this thematic. Okay, so knight a6. I'm sure at this point you're thinking, fucking hell, he's up in Liverpool, isn't he? He's got nothing to do. He's inflicting these chess videos on me. Nothing goes to talk. Nothing could be further from the truth. I'm very busy and happy. Okay, e3. What's going on there? Okay, so I'll just return because I'm getting too my mind's wandering too much with these different variations. Okay, castling. This is the actual game now. I'll just carry on with the moves. Bishop to d3, and now he chucks in the c4. Now that's quite a nice move. That I thought that was very good, very dynamic, and it puts a big question to me. And the computer would actually like from here. Knight to d6 after chopping off. Chop off. This can't be good for me, can it? c4. No, this is very good for you, but that's the see. Shows you can't always trust these computers. But that's a bad move by me. That bishop d3, because it beckons the forwarding of the pawn. Because I've got these two pieces on the same line that can be forked by a pawn. So after this, knight d6. I don't really like that, so I've carried on. I just wanted to be safe, get my queen away from that. Now this is a dubious move. You had nice things here with c4. And then my bishop's going to have to retreat somewhere, even though it looks like it's got a nice scope all the way down here. But moving your bishop to there, why do that? You can't really gang up too much on it, can you? So I didn't want to castle and leave that there, so I thought I'll just attack it. And now computer likes this most. If you snap off, I take. Now you get some interesting things. Is that too fast for you? Let's see again. So if bishop takes, queen takes, computer actually thinks taken with the queen is best, yeah. Now the knight comes in here attacking the bishop. Bishop to there is best. Pawn, queen to there. Okay, and you got penetration there, so that's not bad. I mean, you've got control over that d3 square somewhat. Okay, this is pretty murky, this as well. So the knight is attacked, so it comes back obviously. Queen is attacked, and now these are always nice moves to do. Instead of just retreating the queen, well, you counter attack. So that's quite a powerful move. And the queen has to move. Queen moves to c5. So nice things here. Okay, so that's just one possible variation, but we'll carry on with the game. You retreated to h5, g4, and now I thought you're definitely going to have to move back. Taking is I mean, I think if I were castled, it might be a different thing. Yeah, so maybe this is the problem now with the move that you made. Let's see if I can set it up so that if I'm castled, yeah. Let me just do one. I'll do one little move there, yeah. So this just allows me to get into this position to show you. Now if I'm castled, now this would work perfectly now, I think. If pawn takes, which would be bad by me, then you get queen down here. And you've got a raging attack then. I get queen to h2, queen takes f3, queen takes, bishop takes, king goes to g3. It's about 1.34 advantage to you, so it's a pawn and a little bit advantage to you. So that would have worked if I'd have been castled, but I'm not castled, and so it's a bit suicidal to take that pawn now. So you did have other good moves. You had pawn to c4 here, which is nice, and that might lead to, you know, this is what I want to look at now. I mean, I've been waffling away, but now we're getting to some concrete variations which are quite tasty. So after this, then queen here, knight d6, and it's looking pretty tasty for white. I think it is. So if you take that now, take here, I mean, neither of us saw any of this, did we? This is quite tasty, super tasty stuff here. Okay, so I'll go back to the actual game anyway. So after knight takes, which is a pretty bad move, that gives me an advantage of 2.6 pawns now, 2.5 pawns, more than 2.5 pawns advantage. Queen takes, And this is very interesting now, because I wanted to gang up on the h7 pawn, but I talked myself out of it. I thought there's no way that any of this can work, because the g5 square is well protected by, you've got your bishop, e7 bishop looking at g5, the queen's looking at g5. So I mean, there was a variation you can play, knight to g5. If queen takes queen, rook takes queen, bishop takes rook, the greedy bishop takes rook would not be any good at all really, because then you just get bishop h7, which is like a Capablanca teaching. It's like a Capablanca lesson, this, isn't it? Bishop goes to h8. There's no hurry to give check again. Well, you can give, okay, I'll give check. Bishop retreats. Then you've got a couple of variations here. Let's say king to g8. King takes bishop. Pawn takes. Bishop gives check again, and it's just a win. It's a win for white there. So let's go back to the actual position. So from here, best move for you now is to play g6, and then rook just chops that off, pawn chops it off, and you know, it's still another nice attack. We don't have to go too deep into that. But what actually happened was I played bishop e2, which is the preferred computer move now, and that's putting the question back to you. Okay, so you brought your queen down here now, but what are you going to do? I can move my knight, and I've got enough pieces to be attacking your queen. So again, best move here for you would have been, it seems a bit strange, but g6, because that bishop is attacked by the rook. The rook is attacking the bishop, and the queen is going to be overstretched. I can't think of the word. What's the word when you put too much? She's bearing too much. I can't think of the word. So you need to do something. Either queen to f5 or g6, or move the bishop. But that's even more dangerous. So at the moment I've got a 2.5 pawn advantage. Now this is a bad move. Now you play pawn takes pawn, and I go up to a 6 pawn advantage now, because basically what you're doing here, you're drawing you're giving my knight the opportunity to recapture and play to a very nice centralized position where my bishop is defended very nicely by by the knight that I've just played. So you've got to get your queen out, and now your rook is doubly attacked, triply attacked. Your bishop, sorry, your rook is attacked. Your bishop, sorry, I'm dyslexic on this. Your bishop's attacked by the rook, and by the bishop, and by the queen. So I don't see how you can get out of this now. I play queen to g2, and I just chop off. And now check. Thankfully I've got that covered. I'll just go through the moves pretty much now. Double attack on that, which, you know, it is a bit nerve-wracking having the queen down there, and there's so many pieces firing upon me, and my pieces don't seem to be so well orchestrated. Yours have got an actual attack. It's going to peter out, but it looks impressive at the moment. So now I'm going for a pikey shot here. I thought, seeing as you're pressured and you're overstretched, at least I'm pressuring, I'm threatening a mate, and you might do something rash, you might panic. So really you should have played g6, and I could have brought the bishop, the rook back to h2, but you actually went for a check, you gave a check. And now I should have played king d2. I didn't want to play that, I wanted to castle. This would have led to a beautiful game for me, whereby they could have followed queen g6. Taking is just a bit passive, doesn't really do anything. So at this point the beautiful knight f5 would have been great. And I'm just thinking for a second. Computer likes, I'm not sure exactly why computer likes king to h8. I mean, there are threats of this here, of knight to here, but that's covered by your bishop. So anyway, he likes computer there, and then doubling up the rooks. It's just beautiful. This reminds me of a game, PK in the Netherlands. These are all possible variations now, and that's nice. So let's go back to what actually happened. Queen gives check, and I was loath to play. It looks a bit scary playing the king out, but I should have played king there. I didn't. I defended with bishop there, which is a bit weaker. And now you should have played queen g6, trying to swap off, but you actually played this, g6. I chopped off the pawn, knight c5, queen c2, all proper moves. Now that looks a bit ineffectual, playing your bishop to e8, but there's probably not a lot of other fantastic moves to do. You don't want to chop off, because all your attack will just peter out. And now the very nice. I kept that in my back pocket for a long time. I wanted the chance to play that. Yeah. So something I wanted to mention was this. One of the reasons I took this was not just for sheer greed, but because this pawn here is acting as a pedestal, so it's possible to get knight here into here, and then you'd have a check, possible a check, or taking the pawn, attacking my queen. And maybe I was a bit too worried about that, but I thought, there's a potential for that, and it is a bit nasty. I'm not castled, I've got rooks and bishops firing at my king, and I'm not, I want to be careful, so that's why I snapped off that. But even having done that, you've still got pressure on that e4 square. So actually, that rook move, I take that back now. That rook move consolidates your pressure over the e4 square. And now I castle. So yeah, so that's a pretty good knight, and I can't take, because this queen is attacked by my queen, is attacked by your rook. So my knight is pinned, partially pinned, not totally pinned. Yeah, bishop h3 could have been a nice move here, attacking the rook, and they might have followed rook takes, rook takes. I think I was pretty comfortable now. I thought that whatever happened, I'd be getting I'd be material ahead. So after I'd castled, I thought I was pretty safe actually. So I thought I can just gang up on you, and that was an idea, a bit of a pikey idea I had all the way through, that I want to be able to play that bishop and revealing an attack on your queen. That was an idea long time back. That's one of the reasons I wanted to castle and have the bishop there, but I didn't take full advantage of it. So I suppose that would have been more thematic, attacking more material and attacking your queen. But I didn't play that. And now we get knight c3, and I wasn't really sure what to do, whether to take the queen or to take the knight. So what did I do? I took the knight. Queen tries to escape, and now nice move c4, because that's quite a nice move actually. That you're attacking my rook. I don't really know what to do. This pawn is pressured, so it could be a bit nasty for me if I played the wrong thing. So I found the correct resource, and then I think you just threw the towel in with queen takes, and then it's all over after this. So interesting game. Sorry for all the waffling. It's kind of hard to be erudite when you're when you're trying to just go over a game, analyze a game single-handedly. So anyway, keep up the good work and try harder next time. Over.